The Badge to the Bone podcast contains adult language, mature themes, psychological nudity. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed here are ours and ours alone. Buckle up.
All right, welcome back to Badge of the Bone podcast. I'm Denny.
I'm Al.
Another episode, Al.
Let's do it.
Al,
We're back.
we are.
Yeah.
We're spending a lot of time in here, it seems like.
I know, right? It's like my home away from home now.
I know we've got like this whole bank of episodes now ready to release.
We went from struggling
To keep up. Yeah.
struggling to keep
Like,
up.
oh, shit, we got to have something to record.
To now we got a surplus.
I think the spacing out the releases has helped.
Yes, I hope that's not upsetting people too long. Like, it's 2 weeks between episodes. I hate that.
Yeah,
But,
well, I did get to throw the WRVA thing in.
yeah,
So hopefully folks listen to that.
yeah.
Maybe.
The interview with Jeff Katz.
Yeah,
up on,
yeah.
Spotify. If anybody's curious, wants to hear our formal radio debut,
Right,
as
yeah.
it were.
He kind of really did us a solid.
Yeah. So we got a guest in here tonight.
We do, and actually, yeah.
In person.
In person.
Yeah.
So
this individual contacted you, so maybe I'll let you do the intro.
yeah, well, another, this was from the conference again last year, and just there at the conference, and
And you're talking about the Impact of Trauma conference, right?
right,
Yeah.
which I think they have rebranded to the First Responder Wellness Conference, I think is what they're going to call it this year, because they've opened it up to fire and EMS and all that.
And we
So-
will be there in September.
Yeah, we will. But it was that, and I had a gentleman walk up to me, and we talked for a minute, and he asked. I can't remember if he asked about. I can't remember if I was wearing my shirt or I had the tumbler or something like that that had the logo on, and he asked about it, and I'm like, yeah, that's a podcast we run. And he's like, oh yeah, Badge of Honor, yeah. So he had heard of us. So we talked a little bit about it.
That
and
alone was surprising.
it was. Right, it was. So, but well, we talked for a little bit, and he talked about his time in law enforcement, and he's active duty now. So we're not going to really get into full identity. We're just going with Will today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to talk with Will for just a few. And it was like the last day, so everybody's trying to get out of there. So we talked for a few, but we exchanged numbers, and I'm like, yeah, I'll reach out and get you on, because he definitely wanted to come on and talk, and he certainly the job, I think, has had an impact on him. I think he's had some other things that were an impact as well. And certainly always like when we can have somebody here in person.
Yeah.
I always enjoy
And it's
that.
been a minute.
It has.
It's been a
since
minute.
we've actually had someone in the Flatfoots bar. But
yeah, but I'm eager to hear what he has to say.
no, absolutely. It is just I enjoy it when we get to meet folks, and we get to meet folks from different organizations, different jurisdictions, different LE agencies, stuff like that. And I was glad we got to link up at the conference. It was just by chance. So, but Will is here now. Will, thank you for joining us here at Badge to the Bone.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It's good to see you again. Like I said, it's been since the conference, but we talked over text a little bit, and we got to chat about some bourbons here a little bit before we got started, which was good. Will brought a little something with him as well.
Did he know?
He brought some Trace.
No trace.
Ooh.
So yeah,
We're not, I like him already.
Right? I know. It's good stuff right there. So, but no, it's awesome to have you here.
Thank you.
Glad you're doing well. It seems like you're doing well.
Yeah.
It's certainly a interesting time for law enforcement, to say the least.
Yeah, it's definitely within the past let's say 3-4 years now, we're talking it's a complete shift in just the perspective.
Oh,
Yeah. It's
And again, we're not talking about what agency you're currently with, but absolutely.
Yeah. No, this is, I mean,
Yeah.
nationwide. I mean, you're seeing the same thing in every city, county, state.
Mhm.
yeah.
You know, it's the same
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I just was reading an article about Austin, and we've talked about because I went to Austin this past year and visited, but they were talking about how short they are, how the
Mhm.
crime has gone through the roof because they had the whole defund the police,
Oh, yeah.
and evidently, I guess I didn't know, but that's Texas, the state of Texas stepped in and said, no, you got to put those funds back. You can't take those funds. And actually made them.
They did.
But they're so far behind now. It did the damage, and they're not catching up. So, but that's everywhere is kind of facing that.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I think you guys have had that issue.
I would say, yeah, a lot of agencies, Central Virginia, major cities, Nova, Virginia Beach
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
Hampton Roads, you're
Yeah.
dealing with the same thing.
Yep.
And these agencies are all pulling from the same pool of people.
Yeah.
Essentially, just hey, I got something better for you over here, more money or benefits and whatnot. So you're attracting the
A
same.
constituency that doesn't hate you as much.
Within
Maybe.
the pool of new applicants is getting smaller.
Oh, yeah.
Because
No.
people are like, I don't know if that's where I want to go now.
No, the kids today don't want to do this.
Well, they don't want to do much of anything, but definitely don't want
I
to
didn't
do
go that far.
So, Will, tell us a little bit what brings you here.
Yeah, no, I feel like I have like big shoes to fill. You guys have had some amazing guests on here, and
Oh, thank you.
actually, you guys had a friend of mine on here, actually, Greg Pudelak.
Oh, yeah.
He's a friend of mine, so
Greg's a great guy.
Yeah, we still keep telling we need to get Greg back. I know he's listening. Greg, he's just going to have to show up on a night we record.
Now,
and just kind of
he
pop
knows
in.
when we record.
He
so he
does.
will just show up.
I'm
which is
good with
fine.
that.
I'm good.
he's a busy guy.
He is. Good dude.
Awesome, yeah, absolutely.
So obviously you guys connected at the trauma conference. So
Did we? No, I think we connected.
We
Prior to that.
did, but you're talking about me
No.
or Greg?
No. You and Will
Yes,
Right.
connected at the trauma conference.
that's correct.
So obviously there was something that motivated you to say, hey, I'm signing up for this. I'm going.
Sure. Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I think a lot of times people, I don't know. I guess they're scared to say what they need to say.
Yep.
But they don't know how to say it. They don't know where to go, who to talk to. So,
Mhm.
and I appreciate you, just offering the idea, and I figured I'd take it.
Heck yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So talk to us. Tell us.
Yeah. So I'm going on almost 9 years now with my agency. Been in the same agency for 9 years. I was hired in 2015 and went through the academy and all that fun stuff. So I've dealt with, anything under the book essentially at this point. Particularly, I think we're talking about 2020. It's going to be it's going to be in the work. So talk about this here soon. So, but that's probably a focal point of I guess our conversation today.
Yeah, man, 2020, man. Oof.
So talk us through. Were you prior law enforcement somewhere else? Were you prior military?
No, so I was prior military. Did a few years active and then reserves the rest of the time there. So while I was going through the process and getting hired with a department, I was still in the reserves and Army.
Awesome.
So got out in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I did 12 years. So,
Okay, wow.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I have a little military background.
Yeah.
Now law enforcement background.
Well, thank you for your military
Thank
service.
Thank you.
Definitely want to support that.
It was a lot of fun.
I bet.
Where did you end up with them?
So I was Fort Bragg, or what is it called now? Fort Liberty. They changed the names.
We'll call it Bragg.
Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
That's what I know it as.
That's right.
And then I set back here to Virginia. So I was working out of Fort Story and Fort Pickett. They all changed names now.
I don't know what the new names
AP
are.
Hill. Yeah, all these, basically anything around Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
This area.
Okay, gotcha.
Operated out of there. Yeah.
Nice. And then you went over into law enforcement.
Straight into law enforcement. Yeah.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been interesting to say the least.
Definitely.
So the jurisdiction you work for, when you were going through the process, did you expect, what you ended up experiencing, was it what you expected?
So yeah, it's funny that you say that. So I had only applied to one agency at that point in time. I was in between jobs on the civilian side, and working reserve. At that point, I was in the reserves, so trying to kind of find my place and jumping from job to job and just trying to find where I fit in.
Yep.
I applied to one agency, and they contacted me within a few months and got testing, and went through the whole process. I think it took me about 7 months to get hired.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
Wow.
then after
Yeah.
that, I ran with it.
There you go.
I ran with it. So
Well, nice.
was it what I expected? No, I had no idea what to expect. I think coming from the military, you kind of think like, oh, it's going to be similar, it's going to be the same.
Right.
Nope, I was wrong.
It can be eye opening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really can. I mean, I think most folks will go back and look and, oh, man, that wasn't quite what I thought it.
That's not what's in the brochure.
Well, we talked about this at the very beginning of kicking this podcast off, is that it was not what we thought. It wasn't,
No.
wasn't like Lethal Weapon. That would have been awesome.
No. That would have been. However.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you guys definitely have a different perspective doing 20 plus years or whatnot. So it's
Sure. I mean,
there are days it's amazing we're not down at Tucker's ourselves.
it still may go. It still may be en route.
It's
Here
not
soon.
yet.
Oh my
No,
God.
but you said 9 years, and 10 years. That's kind of that. That's an interesting spot to be in your career, kind of professionally, psychologically.
Well, it is.
I'm too far in it. I can't turn around now.
Yeah, I mean, you're really at that spot where it is like that, and you get over that, because it's really about that 4 to 5 year mark is when it starts to kind of click the most, at least. And I've read that, but I know for me that when I hit that 5 year mark is when I felt I was probably at my sharpest and where I was really sharp on the job. From there, up until that, it was more, a lot of learning and taking it all in. So then when you hit that 9 or 10 mark, you're like at that midway. So you're solidly locked in. I hate to say locked in, but you're solid in there.
I'm not going anywhere.
And you have a lot of time under your belt at that point. So you've seen a lot, you've done a lot. You're knowledgeable. It's just, but to the detriment, you've seen a lot, you've done a lot.
Correct.
It's a double-edged sword on that, particularly at that stage.
That's why we're here today.
Yeah. So tell us what, I know you got some notes and stuff like that, some things you wanted to talk
just
about.
a couple things I wanted to touch up on. I guess
let's jump on in.
Yeah, let's start on. I didn't write any dates down. I didn't think I would be able to remember half these things when they happened, but so yeah, this is pretty much all started. I'd say about 2.5, 3 years, under 3 years in my career.
Yep.
So let's paint the picture, right? So, I remember sitting in a parking lot one night and just minding my business, nothing going on. I was like, hey, let me pull up Netflix or whatever and just hang out here for a minute. I get approached by a car. Car pulls up, obviously sees me. This guy in a pickup truck pulls up. He's like, hey, there's a car that's at the stoplight. There's a dude passed out in the driver's seat, and just make sure they're okay, whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool, great. Got a drunk driver or something.
Yep.
Like, here we go. Got to make an arrest and, DUI and, all this thing. So, yeah. So, I pull up to the car. I'm thinking nothing of it. I'm like, oh, here we go. Let me just go wake this guy up, make sure they're not going to crash anywhere and go about my business. So, I push the car. There's two guys in the seat, one in the driver's seat, passenger seat. They're all knocked out, asleep. So knock on the window a few times, nothing happens. Bang on the window, nothing happens. At this point, I'm like, all right, what's going on here? I peep a little closer. The driver, and he's sitting there with his hand in an odd spot. I see a gun initially. So, yep. So hairs raising, back of my neck, and I'm thinking, all right, what's going to happen here? So, and at this point, like I said, I was 2-3 years in, so still a rookie. Still fresh and not really thinking things through sometimes. So,
Sure.
But yeah, the guy started waking up. We made eye contact. I remember drawing my gun.
Oh yeah.
He grabbed for his gun.
Oh shit.
And it kind of went downhill from there.
Oh gosh.
Well, not what you're thinking, but it was just a turn of events that kind of led to a few other things, and here we are now.
Right.
So, yeah, no, he grabbed the gun. I remember we made eye contact. And at this point we had a firearm that had an 8-pound trigger on it. So we had trained an 8-pound trigger.
Yep.
You kind of have that little bit of grace period. I
Mhm.
remember feeling that trigger.
Yeah.
As he's reaching for the gun in his hand,
Oh,
we're making eye contact, and I'm thinking like please don't do this.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I remember it went to court and it showed the body camera.
Yep.
Of me just yelling at this guy, but in my head I was like, I don't remember doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking
I
about.
don't remember saying any of that stuff. Well, anyways, yeah. So, thankfully, I got him out of the car, got him in handcuffs, and nothing happened. Lo and behold, there was a third person in the car. They were all felons. This guy was a 7-time convicted felon.
Jeez.
So the court case, ended up going federal at this point.
Yep.
And all this work led up to a dismissal because the judge couldn't see the gun on my body camera.
Holy shit.
And since this is audio, people cannot see my jaw resting on the floor.
Well,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy.
being familiar with the jurisdiction, my
Yeah.
jaw did not hit the ground.
Even being familiar, what happened to officer testimony?
I refer you to the jurisdiction.
I mean, the
again.
camera, but it's not an all-seeing fucking eye. It points in one direction. It's like one extra eyeball. That's it.
Yeah, where the
Holy-
camera was sitting, it was right at the door level,
Mhm.
so you couldn't see what was in the.
And you can't
the
expect
window.
the camera to see everything
Right.
that you can see. It just
Right.
it's not designed for that.
It's fucked up, but I wish I could say I was surprised.
Well, man, holy shit.
Yeah.
So after and I want to just, for anybody listening that's not in law enforcement or hasn't been in this grant, and I hope we have some listeners that are not, that listen maybe to learn a little bit or to kind of get some perspective. But if you've never walked, or if you're an officer that's new and has not come upon that yet, when you come up on that and you see that firearm or someone sitting, or that firearm is in their hand or it's in their car and they reach for it, I can't describe what the feeling. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, like, see, the hairs stand up on the back, and that's the simplest way to describe it. But it is
Yep.
an immediate rush of fear, adrenaline, aggressiveness, everything all in one. It's like a shot right in you because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Am I going to shoot this guy? Is he going to shoot me? And then there's other people in the car. Someone about to jump out of the car and shoot me. It's something else. That's all I can say. It is like nothing else. So to experience that,
Mhm.
and then you go to court with this fantastic case on felons with a gun. Fantastic case that you're going to get them off the street.
Right.
And now it's just like, oh, well, the camera didn't show it. So
Clearly, it didn't happen.
let's put them back on the street so they can have another gun in their car.
Yeah.
For the next officer to walk up that
Right.
may not fare as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Now next time they're going to be like, oh, well, next time I just got to go and start shooting as opposed to get arrested. So all you did was make a criminal smarter and give them another day to hurt somebody. Wow. All right. I'm off my soapbox.
Yeah.
Sorry, that just drives me crazy. All right, back to you, Will.
Yeah. No, I mean, so we're painting the picture of mental health, right?
Yeah, that's right.
This is what we're talking about today. So imagine being a 2-3 year, rookie, and that's one of the main things that you deal with in the first few years of your career.
Yeah.
I didn't process it correctly. Right?
Yeah.
I was adamant that I was going to have to shoot this guy.
Right.
And I never told anybody. This is probably the first time I've told some people. I had every intention to shoot this guy because he had a gun in his hand. And the only thing that stopped me was, I think, his decision making was like, maybe I'm not going to do this today. Right. And he as he was opening the door, he with his right hand, he dumped in the passenger's lap, who had also woken up at this point.
Oh, gosh.
And that's, again, like I told you, this is an 8-pound trigger pull was the only thing stopping me from shooting this guy.
Yep.
And I never dealt with it the way I should have. And then again, having to go to court and realizing this case is lost now. The mental just kind of like,
Yeah, absolutely.
injury, I guess, is saying like, man, is this going to be every single time I roll up to a car now? With a drunk driver or whatever, so that stuck in my mind for, the next few years. And every time of course I was more careful and just more, thoughtful in how I approached, but it never went away.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure. Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, when you start to, because I had a similar experience, and we had a 9-pound trigger pull. And
You know what that feels like. Yeah.
and that it was working its way back.
Yeah.
And yeah, that sticks.
It does not leave
Well,
me.
see, and I had a similar experience. We had a 5.5-pound trigger pull,
Yeah.
and it was. And if you're familiar with the Glock pistol, you got the little dingus part on the front of the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel that go away, but it was kind of the same thing. It was 2 convicted felons with guns, shot them off, and me and my other officer, long story short, we were doing something else. They were on the other side of a fence. We couldn't get to them. So we had to climb this huge, massive fence, scale it like a spider monkey going up and standing there while they're walking down this cut. And this was the last agency I worked for. So we finally get behind them. They're walking down the street, big guy and a shorter guy. And they were just firing them off. Like I mean, maybe 20 feet from them. They just didn't see us in the darkness. So and now they're walking down the middle of the street. There's really no cover. You just walk in the street lights. And he looks at me, he's like, what do we do? I said, we're just going to get as close as we can, get your gun ready, get as close as we can. And if they turn to look at us, challenge them, we'll go. He's like, all right. So we started moving towards him. And sure enough, the guy looked back. He saw us. They both turn around, and then the flashlights are on it. It's freeze. You get on the fucking ground. Let me see your hands. My buddy, he had the big guy. He was covering the big guy. I was covering the smaller guy. It's not because I'm a small guy. It's just how we were lined up at the time. Ow, I see you looking at me.
What?
I see the look. I'd have taken that big guy.
Would you now?
Anyway, when he turns, I'm expecting him just to drop to the ground. Well, he immediately reaches for his waist and he starts running towards, and kind of in between he and I is a tree, and he starts going for the tree, and I see him reaching it, and that's when I was like, oh my God. It was almost like in Tombstone when they're at the OK Corral, and Kurt Russell's in it, and he sees the guy's face change, but he's like, oh my God. He knows it's about that. That's exactly, I was like, oh my gosh. And the slacks come at the tree because I thought it's on. He's going to the tree to get cover and blast me. And right when I got up and I was coming at him. And right when I got a little bit closer, kind of pie in the corner, I guess, if you will, on the tree, he'd taken the gun and he just dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he dropped it he was trying to ditch it, or he just saw I had the bead on him, and he I don't know, but he just dropped it right there, and then he got on the ground, and I was like, how my pistol didn't go off? Because I mean, when I saw that, kind of said, that's it. He's drawn. He's going down with a fight. Both of them convicted felons. Yep. So it's a hell of a thing. Yeah. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's
hell of a thing.
Yeah. And like, I've done multiple things in my career. I've had been on jump out squads and search warrants and you name it, felony stops. But that one particular thing really stuck out to me, and it took me years to kind of get over it. I wouldn't really say get over it, but to kind of process it.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
Early on, like I said, early on in the career, wasn't really well equipped to handle this stuff.
Sure.
Also, wasn't mentally equipped to handle this stuff. Didn't have anybody saying, hey, you need to process this, you need to work on this. I was going about it the wrong way. Like most of us probably do or have been.
Right. Yeah.
Or we're drinking too much, or we're working too much, or we're not sleeping, or we're sleeping too much.
So, yes to all.
Yeah.
It's a common theme.
Check all of those. Jeez.
Yeah.
So moving on from there.
So this was, again, 2-3 years in. Again, I don't have my timeline right, but I'm thinking right around 2019. Let's say 2019. At this point, I was married, had one kid, another one on the way.
Mm-hmm.
I was just not dealing with stuff right. My mental health was just crap. Just not dealing with things properly. The job obviously added to that.
Yep.
Just the stress of the job and the work and the things that I was doing. So 2019 came around. Ex-wife filed for divorce.
Mm.
Not blaming her at all. She had every right to.
Sure.
I was a complete piece of crap. Didn't treat her right. Just, was always drinking, hanging out with friends. Again, like I said, working too much.
Yep. Been there.
Sleeping on my time off, just not being a family man, just not taking care of things the way I should have, right?
Yep.
Self-sabotaging came in.
Yep.
Almost immediately. So, here we are, 2019. I'm just not taking care of myself the way I should have. Not dealing with the things I dealt with even prior to the job.
Right.
Coming into the job, just hadn't faced my demons at this point. So, 2019 came around. She started a divorce process, and that just took a whole just nosedive
Yeah,
in
that's
the wrong direction.
that's a stressful time.
And then, of course, not long after that was the beginning of COVID.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
or right around that
God.
time was like the beginning of like the shutdown and everything.
Yeah.
Because I remember she started working from home at that point.
Okay. Yep.
And I think that just added fuel to the fire of just being at home stuck all the time. I had to go to work, but
Sure.
her being working from home and just it just added stress for both of us.
Oh yeah.
And it was just a powder keg.
No, unfortunately, everything you just said rings familiar.
Yeah. Yep.
And especially if you are working a lot. Yeah. Because I know, like when I was working the street, my schedule, because of the agency I worked for, was all over the map.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was doing a lot of narcotics work at the time. So, it was sometimes it was like 9 to 5, and sometimes it was, till 4 or 5 in the morning, and sometimes it was on the weekend, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes you got a call out, sometimes you didn't, and you were coming and going and coming and going. And it is hard to.
You had a horribly chaotic schedule.
Yo, it was ridiculous. Yeah. And it was, your sleep schedule's all dicked up. And you're right. Then when you add the kids in and a spouse that's working, yeah. Get it.
It's a different animal. And, like I said, I was a piece of crap. There's some infidelity involved there, and that's unfortunate truth, but that's where this came from, and that's kind of just fueled the fire. And
been there.
Wasn't doing things the way I should have, from the get-go, and that's completely my fault.
Brother, I can sit right here and I've been there. Been
so
right there.
It's one of those things that we don't realize it, I guess, until you're in it. You're like, man, I wasn't. Why was I doing it? Like, but that's a self-sabotaging coming in, just being like, I'm gonna make these rash decisions and just stupid stuff that we wouldn't. Nowadays we're like, why would I do that? Thinking back, I'm like, that's so stupid, but I did it. I wasn't thinking right.
And it's like it's that self-destruct.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I classify with me a lot. And I've talked about it before, that I look back and how I was behaving it's like I don't even recognize myself.
Completely.
I'm like, man, who was that? I just don't even recognize me. And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. I'm right there with you, man.
No, but I mean, I look back now and I'm just like, thank God I'm not that person anymore. Thank God I got out of it.
Yeah.
I'm here now and I'm
doing
things the right way. I've got my 2 kids and, they're amazing and I'm the father I'm supposed to be. But gosh, what the heck? Like, what the heck was I doing?
Yep.
Who was I as that person?
Man,
it's rough.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I wish I didn't, but I know exactly. Again, that's when I've been there 100%. Was that how? I mean, how knows?
No,
I mean,
yeah,
but yeah.
Unfortunately, the job can condition you to make these mistakes. And the more involved you are, the more committed you are, the more running and gunning you are, the more apt you are to fall into that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do want to ask you, because again, it sounds like we probably had a very similar experience with things that happened. Now, when all that was going on, did you feel at work though? Did you feel like you were still good to go?
100%.
Like, so it was almost like flipping a switch.
100%.
At work, I'm dialed in.
Yes.
I'm good to go. I'm solid with everything. But then outside of that,
could not handle anything.
Total chaos, total self-destruct, and just everything around me is just destroying, and I'm actively destroying it.
100%. I could not handle home to save my life.
Oh my gosh.
But work, I was good. I was there. I had your back.
Yes.
I'd show up, and we'd handle what we needed to handle.
Still sharp, still making the decisions, and I mean, dude, it's like I'm talking to me.
This is hitting. It's hitting a little too close to home.
But I'm going to tell you that what we're talking about right here is there's so many that have that same thing.
I've learned the same thing too. Yep.
So many that I've talked to, they've gone, oh yeah, they either tell me, oh yeah, I've heard that so many times, or yeah, I had that same thing.
Mhm.
As I started to talk to people, I go, oh man, I went through that as well, and it's crazy how much it affects so many in that manner.
Yeah, I mean, and during this time, we had our issues before then, and therapy came up, and the idea of therapy, I was just like, that's stupid. That's
Yep.
such a waste of time. Like, why? Again, military
Yeah.
background. Tough it up. Tough it up.
Yep.
Just keep going.
Suck it up
Push
and
push forward. Like you'll be all right.
oh man, yep.
Nope.
Wow. Yep.
Not at all. So I mean, like I said, the idea of therapy came up a few times, and I pushed it to the wayside. Like I'll deal with it later.
Yep.
I'll deal with it later. And I kept saying that, telling myself that, and then later came,
And you haven't dealt with it yet.
and then eventually it exploded. It just blew up in front of my face. I'm just like, well, yeah, I guess I need help now.
Yeah.
And it took something like that for me to actually acknowledge, like, okay, I'm not right. Right, I've got a lot going on.
Yep.
Personal. So let's deal with it now. But again, 2019. Towards the tail end of it. Managing now, trying to be a single father. Work-life balance kind of thing. 2020 hits.
Mm-hmm. 2020 is terrible.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when I pretty much got out.
So June of 2020, I'm guessing.
May.
Yeah, very end of May.
Mhm.
Yeah. So where did we end up next?
Showing up to work one night
Mm-hmm.
and just being like, hey, we need you to show up. Because at this point, I was on what we were called our riot team.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Agencies have different names for it, but it was our riot team.
Yep.
I'd been on that since 2017. Had probably dealt with the Trump rallies and whatnot a few times, a handful of times, which wasn't a big deal. It was just a couple people yelling,
Right.
and then they all left.
Yep.
So, show up one day to work. This is again end of May 2020. Thinking it's just gonna be another crazy night. Like let's just go deal with this crowd of people, and and then see what happens and just go home. I think I was actually working that night, so I was like, I'm gonna just go deal with this and then go back to the street. Little did I know I'd probably be there for the next 12 hours.
Oh gosh.
I'm probably telling myself here, but that's fine. But I mean, that's and this went on for days,
Weeks.
months.
Yeah, gosh. I remember watching that and just I had a lot of friends that were still on the job that were working those. And man, I was constantly sending text messages. How's it going? How are you doing? What's it looking like? So I was worried. I was worried for him.
Yeah, I was still on, but the agency I was working for had very minimal involvement, and my duty post, if you will, didn't put me in that. But yeah, just like you, a lot of people I care about were down there in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, it was happening across the country.
Yeah.
Not just
all over.
not just Virginia, not just across the country.
Yep.
It was a powder keg. Just one day, just everybody decided, oh, let's pick today to do this.
To go
Yeah.
wild. Yep.
So dealing with this, I think I remember we had worked about 20 days straight. 20 days straight without a break. And I think we spent, I could get my numbers wrong, probably about 6 months on that assignment.
Wow.
Just dealing with just that.
And when you say 20 days straight, it was 10, 12-hour days.
Minimum 10 to 12 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Minimum. Dealing with anything from protests to riots to just anything. So it was complete, nothing we'd ever seen before.
Right. Yeah. No.
I think even across the country, nothing we'd ever seen before. So, and at this point, again, I'm talking about myself, dealing with the divorce, the process.
Yep.
Going in straight into that and having family, friends, coworkers, or not coworkers, colleagues, or just people that I knew just jump a bandwagon and say, fuck the police, defund the police. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, guys,
Yeah.
like,
Right. Oh yeah.
you know me, right? You know me as a person, who I am. But no, I mean, it was just hard having to cut people out of your life, just like because they're
You saw, especially if you happen to be on social media, you saw sides of people and you're like, holy shit.
yeah.
And there's a couple members of my family that I don't speak to this day because of some shit they said.
You know, that's part of the reason I'm not on Facebook anymore.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I had friends on Facebook that were saying things, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I try to not comment, and every now and then I would try to, you know, at least as politely try to explain, hey, look, it's not what your mind is trying to tell you. This is, you know these people, the officers, first responders, they're people just like you, and try to put some rationale to it. And then I would find either one, they would just defriend me, just be gone. I'm like, wow, really? You can't even have a conversation with me. I've known you, and you know me, and now you can't even have a conversation because you don't like my perspective. I don't like yours either, but at least try to have a conversation. And it wasn't like I would get on there and be like, oh, you're full of shit. This is a bunch of I would try to have an intelligent, rational response. And this is another side to this. But
I remember a night, and I don't know if I've talked about it here or not, but it was a night when a bunch of the guys I know in this area were down smack in the middle of that.
Mm.
And I was so angry about it. I was so angry at some of the things that I was hearing from family and stuff like that, that I took a bottle, went out on my deck, and sat there for hours, 4 or 5 hours, easy. And my wife was like, you know, leave dad alone. You know, I was madder than I've ever been. And, you know, all the things like you're talking about, the things you were trying to process before all that broke off, right? Which is hard enough, you know. And now, all of a sudden, you're not a human being anymore.
Robot.
You're not a human being anymore. You're filth. You don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And people that have been on the job for years and have had the damage that the job has done to us in varying degrees, and the things we have sacrificed for the job, that was just that was like the cherry on top.
Well, yeah.
I've done all this for, you know, at that point for me, it was what, 21 years ish at that point. I'm like, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
This is where we're at.
It's just disheartening. Incredibly disheartening. I don't think I ever...
How anybody stayed on the job after that.
Well, you know, and I've mentioned this before, excuse me, but I can't ever remember any other time in my career where I did not want to tell somebody what I did for a living. I never hesitated before. No, you know, because when we've gone into this, it becomes your whole identity and stuff like that. But people ask, "Oh, what do you do? What do you for?" Oh, I work for such PD or sheriff's officer. And sometimes you didn't want to say just because you knew you were going to get the cop joke. Oh, he's going to take us to jail, or
I didn't do it.
Don't look at my drink. You know, I'm like, yeah, okay, haha, yeah. Only the 150th time I've heard that, but other than that, I never hesitated to tell somebody what I did, and I found myself in circles or places where go, oh, what kind of work you do? And I'm pause, and I'm like, do I even want to say what I do?
My wife had police memorial tags on her car.
And we actually took them off.
And I probably didn't say it nicely enough, but I was like, "Get those the fuck off your car."
100%.
What do you? And she meant well, but get them off now.
Yeah, we did the same, just because I didn't want her to be subject to anything. We took the blue line, deacon out, and that stuff has come back, but we for a while we took all that stuff off. I was just taking it off my car. I was like, you know, because I'm going to park somewhere and I'm going to come out and my shit's going to be all graffitied or on fire.
I mean, that's a reality that we dealt with. A lot of these guys, you know, they had their social media was a big tool for the protesters and these guys, and so they'd post people's our addresses online,
Yep.
Twitter.
Yes.
They
Yes.
would try to post pictures of us and identify us. You know,
Yep,
a lot of times
that's
we
right.
wore kind of face masks or something to cover ourselves because
Yeah.
it's like we don't want to be, you know,
Right.
we don't want to be ousted on social media. And I remember a bunch of us got followed home.
Oh,
We
geez.
would leave work in our personal cars and we'd get followed home.
Wow.
You know, I mean, because you notice, like, you see somebody
Oh, yeah,
following you,
absolutely.
You know, so we followed home. You know, our homes get pictured and posted online. Like, hey, this is this person's house. You know,
Jeez.
so we had to hide who we were. We had to, you know, couldn't tell anybody. You know,
Yeah.
I seem to remember in the midst of all that, there were people that were taking their name tags off.
Yep.
And the
Yeah.
agencies, air quotes, were turning around and writing people up for it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I heard there was one agency in general that everybody took their name tag off and it became a thing. But yeah, I mean, you didn't want anybody getting your name. I know a lot of people in my department were the ones that were keeping their social media were putting like code names. I mean, they were taking their full name off, and then it got confusing because again, this is when I still had Facebook, got rid, and I'm like, who the hell is this fucker? Who's Kill Switch 87? You know, I mean, I don't know this guy. What the hell is this going on? You know, and be Kawabagunja, and I'm like, who's Cowabunga Kill Switch? Or who's Cowabunga Grenade Hand? I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, it was crazy stuff. It was video game names, and then I start looking through. I'm like, okay, I need to see is this somebody that snuck on my page, and then I'd find out who it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's.
Oh, wait a minute! I've known that person for 10 years.
Yeah, but because folks were afraid of having their name on their social media account, so they figured, I guess, that the folks that knew them would know who it is.
Well, when you're following people home, the first thing that pops up in my mind is, you mean to do me physical harm.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's no good intent with
You're
that.
not looking to spray paint the front of my house. You're looking to hurt me or mine.
Absolute nefarious intent. Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was just a rough time, I think, just in law enforcement in general.
Yeah.
You know, we had an exodus of officers leaving my department, just across the state, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Everywhere.
And not necessarily just leave the agency, but just leaving police in general.
Yeah.
They left.
The career, 100%. So, you know, and I don't blame them.
No.
I don't blame them.
I don't either. I don't think anybody that stayed does. Yeah. It's.
We got through
How
it.
can you?
We got through it. I think a lot of the guys and girls that stayed, you know, did it for the officers they worked with. They're like, I don't want to let this person down.
Yep.
You know, if they're going through it, I'm going through it with them.
Yeah.
You know, so we made it through the summer, thankfully. The summer of love, they called it.
Oh, right. The summer of love.
Summer of love.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was peaceful protest.
Hey, I'm gonna hit this and take a real quick break. So lately we've had a lot of folks ask us, hey guys, how can we help support the podcast? Well, there's a lot of ways you can do that. And first is, wherever you're listening to Badge to the Bone, whatever platform you're using, make sure to follow us. That's a huge help. Also, go over to our Facebook page and make sure to like and follow us there. Another way you can support the podcast is through a monetary donation. If you notice in the descriptions to each episode, there's a link that says support this podcast. Click that link and you can make a monetary donation as small or as big as you like. You can also make it reoccurring. Any amount is helpful, and we are appreciative. And the last way you can support the podcast is through our Badge to the Bone podcast store. The link for that is located on our Facebook page and on our website, badgetothebone.com. And we've actually got some pretty cool stuff on the store. We've got t-shirts, we've got hoodies, stickers, we've got tumblers. The tumblers are great. I take my tumbler everywhere. It's awesome. Anything you get helps support this podcast. It helps us keep this thing going. So thanks so much, but let's get back to the show. All right, so a nice little break there. But so we are we're about riot time, COVID time.
No, that's peaceful protest time.
COVID time. So let's jump back into where we are with what's going on with you.
Yeah, so at this point, you know, personally dealing with like again the divorce, managing being a single father, managing personal life and work life, which basically was non-existent because I was always at work.
Especially during
Especially
that
during
period.
that period, yeah. So, right, end of the summer came, everything kind of died off at that point. Everybody the money ran out, everybody went home. Right? So we stopped we stopped showing up. So went back to the streets. Went back to working with the guys and, on my shift and all that stuff. So I don't think anybody had time to process anything.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I think it was a simple, hey, thanks for your service, appreciate your help.
Wait,
Go back to work.
Yeah, right. Here's your beat.
Nobody running your jurisdiction thanked you for your service.
Non-existent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
100%. That's the norm now, but
right. Yeah.
But back then, of course, it's different when you're in it and you're dealing with people that you don't know who's your friend and who's your foe. Like you're just
that's where it's really bad. You don't know friend and foe. Yeah, bad spot.
But yeah, so in the summer, right, back to work. I think a lot of us kind of carry that weight with us for a while, for this few months into the wintertime. Wintertime for us is always slower, but yeah, we carried that weight with us for a while. And that's the only thing we talked about. It's the only thing we ever, brought up in conversation. If we'd hang out, drink, have some few drinks, talk about work.
Yep.
We talk about our experiences. We talk about, our war stories, everybody called it.
Yep.
So
that's right. That's a pretty good one too.
Yeah. Yeah. So we always talked about it, and we all shared different experiences. Throughout that. So even if we worked in the same, the same group or whatever, same team, we all had different perspectives and different. So it was just nice to hear, like, people sharing their side of things and what they were going through, how they felt and all that stuff. But we really all dealt with a lot of the similar, trauma. Because, it essentially was trauma. It was traumatic. Things that we dealt with back home. I remember, actually, it was probably early on, June, when we finally got a day off. I went to the beach, Virginia Beach, just because it was convenient and close.
Yep.
And being out there, the beach for me is a relaxing spot. Like, it's a place I go to relax and unwind.
I love the beach.
I love the beach.
Yep.
None of it was relaxing. There was a lot of people. It was the planes flying overhead.
Yep.
And I could not find any way to relax. I was just tense. My body was just on fight or flight mode, fight mode, more likely. And it wasn't relaxing time. And I was, with someone at that point. And I was like, yeah, we need to go. Like, let's go get some food, and then we'll head home. And so we're eating at dinner, and we're again thinking it's a relaxing time, and there's like motorcycles flying by. It's just all these loud noises. All it just brought back all this, just like my body, I could feel myself just tensing up, physically. And we finally leave the restaurant. We're in the car getting ready to pull off, and there's a crowd of people in the middle of the street protesting. And I was just like, yeah, we're leaving right now. Like, I got to get out of this.
Yep.
And I was just like, beeline it to the highway, and the rest was history. But I was just like, this is,
that sucks.
You deal with this stuff, and you don't realize you deal with it until you're in a even a different environment, and the stuff just comes up. Like, the smallest little things just trigger you. I remember being asleep because I used to work the midnight shift, and I'd sleep during the daytime, and I would hear just these loud noises of just like my neighbors cutting down trees or blowing leaves or something, and it would wake me up out of a dead sleep.
Yep.
And I just couldn't find time to relax. I had to take sleeping pills just to relax.
Yep.
So just the traumatic physical aspect of it was just like my body was I was just in a state of just tension, constant tension, and just hyper vigilance a little bit, but just the physical effects of it was just I dealt with that for a while.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
So, but I mean, I don't think anyone really had time to relax and process it, because you go back to work and you go back to you're dealing with it just on a different aspect of it.
Right.
So that whole summer, the whole defund the police just kept going.
Yep.
You went back to the street and you just dealt with the same thing. You just weren't dealing with protests. You were dealing with the same people that were just like, oh,
you were dealing with the same mentality.
Yeah, just kept going for that rest of the year and into the next year. So
you you got to show up every day. And again, this is particularly acute your jurisdiction, where you're going out there and everybody hates you.
Mhm.
And maybe everybody doesn't hate you. I'd probably go so far as to say everybody does not hate you.
Yeah.
But
It's the
gotta,
feeling.
it's got to feel that way.
It's the feeling that
It's
everybody.
got to feel that way.
It's the impression that everybody hates you, and I think what makes it worse is because of the work. I mean, most folks get into law enforcement or public safety in general, but particularly the law enforcement side on this conversation. You get in to try to do things good. You're trying to make the community better. You're trying to take bad people off the street. You're trying to help, people be able to enjoy their neighborhoods.
You're in it for the right reasons.
That's right. And then you're faced with people telling you that you're evil, nasty, horrible, you're pieces of shit. So it's one thing if nobody likes you, but it's another thing when you're doing your damnedest and you're giving everything you have to help people make things better, and they hate you for it.
Yeah. It came home.
It's hard.
Like, so my oldest is 16, and God bless her, she's way farther left than I will ever be on the political spectrum. And she went to my wife and was like, because really wanted to like get behind all of this social justice bullshit, really. And but was deeply conflicted, because so my wife circled back to me and goes, yeah, she came to me and said this, that, and the other, but that's not dad. That's not dad's friends. I'm like, of course I was angry at the time, so I'm like, yeah, no shit. And yeah, it that was that was hard,
I can imagine.
Yeah, when your own kid is like doing that.
We wouldn't bring it up at conversation at dinner with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a sore subject. I didn't want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anybody else wanted to, because we knew we were going to butt heads about it.
Right. Yeah.
So
thankfully, I didn't have to deal with that because I think my kid got her head on straight with that pretty quickly. But again, there were the other family, yeah, not so much. There were not many, but a couple.
Yeah. But that's reality of it, especially in our profession. It's a lot of trying to prove your point. I'm like, well, this is not really what's really going on,
right?
But nobody wants to hear it because they're seeing what's on the news and they're just like, oh, that's
no. Don't let facts get in the way of a good narrative.
Right. Right. Yes. So you have all this going on, and you've made it through. You're getting through the winter and stuff like that. Did you have a point where either things came to a head or things started to kind of turn and I guess what I'm asking is did all this build up and come to a head at some point, or did it just continue to build up and you started to realize, maybe I need to make a change in some things, or where do we go from there?
It took 2021 for me to make a change. So, throughout this, I mentioned family and things like that. My dad was always at the forefront of just having my back and support.
Yep.
He was always a person I could go to and talk about things, and he just unbiased. You could bring anything to him, and he just had no judgment. Very very logical person. So, I would always talk to him about things and bring the stuff up to him, and it was great just having somebody there, to back me up and understand my point of view on things.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, February 2021, he passed. So it was a tough time for all of us. At the end of January, myself, my son, and him all got COVID. And I mean like COVID.
Oh, wow.
He was hospitalized. I went to the hospital. fevers, body aches, stuck in bed. Like, I mean, the
Jeez.
full thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And at this point they had pushed, the shot.
Yep.
Get your shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my shots.
Still got
And I
it.
still got sick.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was probably the toughest thing I have dealt with within those past 2-3 years. Was having to deal with that and kind of overcome that obstacle. But I mean, it's it's an unfortunate situation. God bless his soul. He's an amazing person, role model, father figure. I mean, the whole nine. So that was kind of the turning point for me where I was like, I need to get my shit together.
You bring up a very valid point, which is there are things that happen in our lives that have absolutely nothing to do with the job,
Mhm.
but impact you on the job, how you deal with the job,
Absolutely.
and just your person overall. And you can't discount that.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I think it does spill over.
Yeah, and there was, particularly in that time, it seemed like there was no end to that.
It was
kind
one
of
thing
stuff.
after the other.
Yeah.
I mean, I could bring up a few points, within the job that created some of that, but most of it came from just my personal life,
Right.
Yeah.
just the things I was dealing with outside of work, right? So you're absolutely right, and it just compounded over time.
Mhm.
I thought I was at the end of this, like you just brought up that point, and then the next thing would happen, right? And I thought, oh,
Yeah.
2020 is over, great. 2021 happened, and it was just like completely just over
Yeah.
time,
One
just kept
after another.
compounding. Yeah, it was just. And eventually I broke, it's like you said, I'd show up to work, after all that happened, and I was there physically, but mentally I wasn't there.
Mhm.
And it showed in my lack of just, work, I guess you could say. I just wasn't there, mentally. And, it was hard. It was hard for, to get to process that, to deal with work and have a life balance,
Mhm.
because my whole life just got uprooted enough, just a complete shift, right?
Yep.
The divorce, losing my dad. So it was
Yep.
just a complete just shake up of my life. So I was trying to find my place in the world while also having to be responsible for my kids, my job, everything else.
So when you finally realize, okay, I've got to do something to get myself together, and because I remember that when things came crashing down for me, I went to work and it was basically go in and sit now, stay in one spot until they call me,
Mhm.
and then go home. It was just eking through the day.
Mm-hmm. Just making it.
Yeah, just barely making it. But when you finally, it came into your head, that, okay, I've got to get a handle on this. I've got to do something to get myself together. What happened then? What did you do then?
Well, that's probably the hardest part of all of this, was being able to overcome and move on. Not necessarily move on, but just be able to overcome all these obstacles that had happened. A lot of it was kind of putting my ego and pride away and be like, I need to go to therapy, some sort of therapy,
Mhm.
some sort of counseling.
Yep.
And at that point, I was dealing with a lot of grief from his passing. So I had to go see somebody for that. I had to go see somebody for this. I had to go see somebody for something else. So it was like I need to do something. I can't not do anything. I can't keep saying I'm going to push it. I'll deal with it later, because later happened so many times within the past 3 years. And it was just like, this is too much for me to handle, on my own. So I need help.
Yep.
So yeah,
That resonates because everybody's tipping point is different.
Uh-huh.
But grief, grief was my tipping point.
that's rough. It's
Grief was my tipping point. So I get that.
I would say grief is probably one of the harder things for me, because that was really where, when I look back on the job, when things really started to impact me, was losing friends in the line of duty. And 2 back-to-back. I lost 2 back-to-back friends. Not just people that I saw in passing, but 2 friends, and back-to-back. That was tough.
Yep, I remember.
And that's been tough it's probably really, even though, I've made my own, get myself back together and everything like that, but even through all that, I'd say it's probably just been within maybe the past year and a half that I've gotten to where I can talk about those two deaths and not get upset.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even when I got better, I still was dealing with kind of coming to terms with that grief. But yeah, it's probably been in the past year and a half where discussing that doesn't upset me. I can actually get through the conversation and talk about it. So yeah, I definitely understand that on grief. And I understand, I lost my father in 2022. So no, fortunately for me, that didn't happen when the whole fallout. Luckily, I had kind of picked myself back up and gotten myself into a better place. Had that happened at that time,
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't think I'd have made it. I don't think I'd be here today.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but I don't think I could have. It'd have been too much.
Yeah, I lost my dad in 2003. And 6 months later, I'm getting an MRI for chest pains because, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. And it was, it was grief.
Physical reaction.
Yeah, it was just grief,
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that is a very, very powerful motivator.
Yep.
It took, like I said, this wasn't just an overnight thing. It was the irritability that I always had. I was just always angry. I was always irritable.
Yeah.
I would drink a lot. I would either sleep too much or not sleep enough. And my poor kids, they got the brunt of it, because they would just be at home playing or something and making a mess, or doing something silly and drop something, and it would just be the smallest little thing would trigger these emotions in me. And I didn't know I didn't realize it at the time, but it was just like, I can't continue like this. I can't keep doing this. This is I caught myself one day. I was like, Jesus, like, I'm not good. I'm not okay.
Now this is like listening to me. Because I mean,
I'm getting uncomfortable.
I talked about my low flashpoint.
Oh,
and it was. I mean, it was the littlest thing.
Yep.
I would just explode, and it would ruin my whole day. Littlest thing, and a big example I remember. I'll never forget trying to put these shelves up in one of the kids' room, and of course that's just can be an aggravating task anyway. We all get those frustrations, but something as simple. I remember putting the screw into the wall. It stripped the screw out, and I was trying, and I think I threw the drill, and I was angry, and it completely destroyed my day.
Yeah.
Something as small as that, and I remember my wife looking at me going, "How do you let something like that ruin your whole day?" And just get another screw and put another. It seems so simple, but it would
to a logical person. Yeah, it is. And so our wives looking at that kind of thing, go, what is wrong with you? And I can think of
just
a couple
pull
times
another screw out the bag.
Yeah, I can think of a couple times where my wife looked at me and was like, "Well, you were angry the whole time." And I'm like, "No, I wasn't."
Right. Yeah. Right. Right.
You don't realize it.
No. You're like, oh, I was fine.
You're in this like trance, and you're just like,
no, you were angry the whole time. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like,
yeah.
That's a real thing.
It is.
It's a real thing. So,
wow, this is
yeah.
Well, thanks for coming, Will. Jesus.
So, but you did go to therapy though.
Yeah. So therapy. Obviously, it was like I need to go ahead and talk about this. So grief was again the first thing that was brought up, and then went to like a men's group. Was put on by a therapist, and I got something out of it. I didn't keep going because
sure.
I forget what happened. Nothing bad, but it was just couldn't continue going. But I got a lot out of that too, and just a few other things that I was like, again, put my pride away.
Yep.
Put the ego away. Like, I can't do this on my own anymore. Like, this is I'm exhausted to the point where I can't. My daily life was like, I couldn't, like I said, couldn't put a screw in the wall. Like, the simplest things.
Without having a conniption. Yeah.
Exactly. So, no, it took me realizing, being aware finally, like, I'm not okay, and I can't continue this because I'm gonna blow up.
Yep.
I'm gonna have something. It could be the smallest thing, and I could just good break. And I
Mhm.
don't want that to happen at work.
Yeah. Right.
I don't want to be on scene somewhere, a traffic stop, you domestic,
Yep.
and then something happened, then I just blow up because that's one. It's gonna look good for me.
Yep.
But I could put somebody's safety in danger. Their well being. Either it's my partner or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the public. So it's like I can't do this anymore.
So I got to ask, as you started to realize something's wrong and I got to make it right, at any point, did you go to your agency? And did you feel like you could go to your agency?
I think I could have. I had a good supervisor at the time that was really understanding and
That's good.
kind of knew what was going on. I kept him in the loop, like, hey, I'm not feeling it today.
That's good.
He did luck out, but I think if I would have gone to the agency and be like, hey, I need X amount of time off, I think it would have just kind of been like a more let's have some paperwork kind of thing. Let's have a paper trail. And I didn't want that for me. I didn't want to,
Yeah.
hey, like, oh, I got to go see a therapist and then have like them bless me. I'm like, he needs to be out of work because,
Right.
mentally and I didn't want that.
Yep.
I was worried about how that would look,
I know what you mean.
and have them pull my powers and be like, no, he needs to be off work because he's not, and I don't think they would have, it would have been that big of a deal. But looking back at it, I was like, I don't know if that would have been a good look for me.
I know when I went to therapy, I didn't tell my agency.
I didn't tell mine either. I didn't. It's just kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
You're not real sure what the response is going to be.
I felt pretty sure this response wasn't going to be great.
Right. No, I think you had pretty confident that
Yeah. I mean,
that's not, you didn't want to let them know. Me, it was just, I didn't know what was going to transpire from there. Was it, like you say, is it going to be something where, put him on light duty, and then am I going to have to jump through some hoops to show that I can get back on duty? Is it going to be, well, you know what, a year from now, well, you had this thing where we had to put you on light duty. I don't know if we should put you in this unit or put you in. Is it going to stick with me? And I think that's a fear for a lot.
That's the 100% the truth now. I think guys are worried about, and girls are worried about, bringing this up because they think like, oh gosh, I'm going to lose, my ability to get promoted or to move on, to a different unit or, expand my career because this is going to tarnish my record. So 100%, I actually absolutely agree with that. It's an unfortunate truth that's going on right now.
It is
across the country,
and it is, and it's. I don't want to say it's, because I can't say it's an unreasonable fear, because it's actually not.
No,
it's really agency dependent. I mean, there's some agencies I think that are very, very progressive that look at it like anything else. Like look at it that way. You blew your knee out, so we gotta get your knee healed up and get you back to work. No big. That's the same. They classify it as the same thing. I think those agencies are. I don't want to say few and far. I was going to say the same thing. I hate to say it because it just sounds like shit, but it kind of is true. And I think there's agencies on the extreme that it absolutely will follow you. It will hurt you. It will cause a problem for you. And those agencies haven't developed to where they can be of a service to their people. But I do think that that's a valid concern,
I mean, I think definitely things have changed since, like I said, COVID, because we've seen this influx of mental health issues since then. So I think agencies are picking up on that and saying, hey, like, we have a problem here.
Right. I hope
mental health is a problem, even amongst our own people. So if we can focus on them, like give them a mental health day. Just say, hey, if you need a day off because of this and that, like have a day off.
I wish they get to where they view it like it's more of an injury. It's no different than if I'm trip and fall on something and I bust my arm or bust my elbow up. Okay, you're gonna need a couple of days because my arm's all jacked up. Okay, well my head's all jacked up, so I need a couple of days. Yeah. And that's what it needs to be, to where it's that comfortable where it's you went to this or you dealt with this the other day, or of course your head's jacked up. Yeah, you're gonna have a couple of days. You're gonna do this and it not be something that's.
But you
detrimental to your
at the same time
career.
You have agencies. I think yours is one of them, where so many people said to hell with this and got out.
Yeah,
your staffing levels are shit, and so your mental health day may make the difference between, 2 people at roll call versus
Well,
1.
you're absolutely right.
And so you have agencies that are in that predicament, again, yours, that I'm not sure they want to hear that, unfortunately.
I
That's
mean,
just
yeah,
my
that's
opinion. I'm not there. But
it's gonna have to take something drastic for that to change. You're gonna. I think where a lot of us are now is that your people are getting burnt out.
mhm.
They're working
Yeah,
so much.
absolutely.
They're
Yeah.
carrying the load of what 6 people need to be doing, but only 2 or 3 of them are doing it.
Right.
Every day, day in and day out. So they're burning out. And I mentioned to him earlier. I used to try to do as much overtime as possible.
Mhm.
And it got to the point where I was just like, I'm just burnt out.
Yeah.
It'd be a couple of weeks, it'd be a month, 6 months from that. And it was just like I can't anymore. I need more than just a day off.
Yeah.
I need
No,
all
absolutely.
14 of my days, right? Consecutively, because I just can't keep up with this anymore.
Absolutely.
And I know there's agencies that would pull their people back. Like if your day off, or we're canceling your day off so you can show up.
Well, I was just going to mention, I've got a friend of mine that's with Washington Metropolitan Police Department. Been there for quite a while. I was texting him the other day, just checking. They had a couple officers shot, so I've reached out, check, make sure he's doing all right. And we're talking about the shortage, and he said they are down 1,000 officers.
Jesus.
And
Isn't that only about a 2,000 person agency?
I want to say, yeah, they're probably like around. Well, they're probably like. I'd have to look it up. They might be like around 2,500.
Yeah,
They might be a little bit
that's
more.
huge.
He said they're down 1,000. He said basically they get drafted every day they work.
Right.
He said they work 18 hours every day, and they took their days off except one. So he says he works 18 hours for 6 days each week.
That's huge.
How do you even do that? How do you work 18 hours and then go back to work the next day and then do that for 6 days? How are they expecting the best for their people? They're setting them up to fail on the street
100%.
out there.
You're not going to get it.
And then they're going to throw them under the bus when they mess up or they do something. But 18 hours, I told him, I said, man, I think he's getting close to retirement. Man, I think as soon as he can, he's probably going to punch out. But yeah, that's when he told me that, I'm like, brother, be
Well,
safe.
we're seeing that burnout now. Like I said earlier, it's going on now. Every day, guys come in, they're just like, let's make it through this shift. Like let's just make it. And that's every day, and it's just like the motivation's gone just to do the job because they're just like, well, I don't want to pull any cars over. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that because then you're worried about like, oh, I'm gonna be, everyone's got a camera now. They're gonna put me on camera. I'm gonna be on, social media because of I'm pulling over, a
doing your
demographic.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing my job, but now these guys come in and they're exhausted from the get go.
It's so
As
disheartening.
soon as they walk in, and I don't blame them.
No, yeah, absolutely.
100%
I mean,
don't blame them.
No, I don't know how.
And these are
doing
great
it.
guys,
Yeah.
great guys and girls that that we work with, and they're just like, what do you expect out of them? You've asked so much of them, and they've given it to you, and now what?
it's just disheartening.
I hate to see it because some of the people that I have the most respect for, people that I have the most love for, worked where you work.
Mhm.
And so that's, man.
So now let me ask you, I do want to kind of circle back. So you did do some therapy.
Mhm.
And did you find that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was just a realization of like where I was, being aware. I remember being told like, hey, if you feel, upset because you're driving by a restaurant that my dad and I have been to before,
Yep.
And I get this sense of emotion, just deal with it right then and there.
Yep.
Don't try to hide it, And I remember I was driving one time in the car and I was just passing by a location where he used to work, and I was just full of emotion, started crying, pulled over, dealt with it right then and there, and I was like, okay, all right, I feel better.
Okay.
It was
Wow.
just helping, But it was just really being aware and just letting those emotions kind of like go through the process.
Yeah.
And deal with it right then and there instead of trying to push it to the side and saying, I'll deal with this at the end of the day.
No, that makes sense. And you mentioned something about parking your pride and kind of giving that realization that you can't do it on your own. We talk about that a lot because I think that's what keeps a lot of folks away from going and seeking some help or seeing someone to talk to. And I've referred people to different psychologists and doctors, and sometimes it's been met with, "Oh yeah, I think you're right." Sometimes it's kind of been like, but I can see that hesitance because it's that, well, no, I'm just supposed to suck it up, or I don't need any help. I think that's huge. Is you do have to park that pride. You do have to kind of dig deep, if you will, and go, okay, well, I've got to do something. I need some extra help with this, something supplemental. I can't do it on my own, but the pride thing is tough to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Very tough to overcome.
I remember one of the first sessions I went to, I think the therapist asked me 2 questions, and we were in there for an hour.
Oh, wow.
So I spoke the entire time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that was just because I needed to.
Yeah.
I needed to vent. I needed to get that out of my system. So it was helpful, and it wasn't so much about them asking me questions. It was more about processing what I was feeling right then and there in that moment.
Yep.
Or that day, or that event, whatever it was. And it was specific to certain things. So, anybody that's hearing this, it's important to go to a therapist or, whoever it's specific to what you're going through, because a lot of times that can hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
If you go to a marriage counselor who's not a marriage counselor, that could be detrimental.
We've actually talked a good amount about that, and it is vital
100%.
that you find the right therapist for you. And you may not get that person on the first try.
Right.
But keep at it, because there is that therapist that is there for you. And, I think, like in your case, I think you found that person.
Mm-hmm.
And, it sounds like you got a fair amount out of therapy that I got out of it, which was I can just go in here and say all the things.
Yeah.
And, it's okay to say the things in this environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, I mean, it's a stigma, and it's unfortunate, coming from the military, that's half of it. It's just a stigma of just like, we don't talk about things because, push forward. Like,
That's right.
So breaking that barrier and being like, no, I'm going to do this because I need to.
Yeah.
I can't keep going this way anymore. I don't know how long this is going to last. I mean, just trying to, carry this burden by myself. Burnt out quick. It took less than a month. And I was just like, yep, nope, I can't do this. I broke down. So.
Yeah. I mean, we discussed that a lot, the importance of it. And I also want to commend the fact, because you mentioned that you went to a men's group. So I think that's important too, because when we talk about therapy, what works for you and what doesn't. And you said you got something out of it.
I got a lot out of it,
But you didn't stay because it ultimately wasn't your go-to.
It wasn't for me. A lot of those guys were dealing with something completely different, and I think I got what I needed out of it.
Yeah.
And then once I was,
and that's key though.
Happy with that, I moved on. Yeah.
That is so key, because somebody else may go, that's exactly what they need, and stay for a long time and continue to do that. But someone may go for a couple of sessions, go, okay, yeah, work. But it's finding those different things. I can hear the dogs barking at the door. It's finding those different avenues on what you're responsible to and what you need and what's helpful for you. Because again, and different therapists.
Yeah.
So this one, you may go to one that's, it was okay. That you may sometimes you got to find the right one that's the fit, that's asking the right questions or getting you to open up. So we encourage that a lot, because I worry that guys will sometimes go to see a therapist, or they may go to a men's group and go, this is just not for me, and then give up altogether. When
you're just not seeing the right person.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right.
And some of those groups are faith-based groups.
Yep.
And some people have that, they want a faith-based group. That's what's going to work for them. Great. Everybody's journey is very, very different.
Yeah.
So we've been going for a while here, but before we I definitely want to kick into and just talk a little bit about how are you now? How are things going now?
Yeah.
Where are you at now?
So, yeah, 2021 was a turning point for me.
Yeah.
More so just because I realized, like, I've got two little ones I've got to take care of, and I can't take care of them if I can't take care of myself. So 2022 was like my turnaround year. I was like, I'm gonna do everything I need to do. I've established myself now. I know where I need to get to. So 2022 I started traveling. That's a big thing for me. It's something I thoroughly enjoy is
All
traveling.
right.
So I went to Germany, went to different cities. Ended up going to El Salvador, which my family's from.
Okay. Nice.
So finally got to visit there. It's a beautiful country now. It's super safe now. It's always been known for like MS-13 and like,
Right.
just violent.
Yep.
Now it's cleaned up. The president's there. It's cleaned it up, and
that's because they're all here now.
yeah, they're all.
I'm sorry, I just had to say that.
No, you're not.
Carry on.
No, you're not wrong. They all fled. So
Yeah.
they're all here now. But no, I mean it's that was kind of like an awesome just journey for me because it was again my family came from.
Yeah.
Just going to like the university where my dad taught was just like, oh wow, like he was here before.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, 2022 was just a turning point for me. I traveled a lot. I did a lot of good things, and so I talk about this a lot with friends of mine. I talk about doing good things like eating right, sleeping right, exercising, just surrounding yourself with people that are important to you and that can just be in a better environment. But I also say, I follow it by saying, it's important to not escape, not use that as an escape. Because I think a lot of times people use it like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but they're not actually dealing with what's going on. They're using that as an escape.
Good point.
Yeah.
That really is. That's huge.
I mean, if you're sincerely into it, I think it's vitally important that you find something that has nothing to do with this job.
Yeah.
And go enjoy it. Absolutely.
But man, that's just such, there's, because there is a fine line between doing something that's healthy for you and doing something that's an escape.
Right.
So yeah.
Yes. Again, like I said, the hardest part was the journey within.
Yeah.
Finding out who I was as a person, so my identity. Because I had lost it.
Yeah.
I thought I was a cop. That was my identity, or I was a father,
Right.
or I was a husband, or whatever. But just realizing like I need to find out who I am as a person and grow from there. So 2022 was a turning point. 2023 was the same thing. Traveled and did things and just maintained that mentality throughout. Because I was like, I can't let myself get that low again to where I ruin my life more.
Yep.
Or if I have another relationship, I do the same thing over again.
Yep.
Or if I do something that hurts my kids, down the road. So, and 2023 was also showed a lot of the progress. I had a good friend of mine, his wife and I were kind of like estranged for a little bit. She just didn't really care for me after the whole divorce.
Right.
And now, we talk as often as we can, because she realizes how much I've grown. And she mentioned that.
That's awesome.
She told me I've seen how much you've grown. And it was like, great. So I guess I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So, it's good to see that, the people that I'm surrounding myself with can see change, and it's just not something I'm not doing it to make myself feel better.
Sure.
Right. I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm doing it because I need to.
Yep.
And so the end of 2023, just like we're doing today, drinking, having a few drinks.
That's right.
I was sitting at home one day and just contemplating. I was like, well, I need to reach out and I need to do something with my life. Like I can't not talk about my story, not talk about what's happened to me and how I've overcome things. So thankfully, I was able to join my peer support team at my department.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
I and a lot of that's been part of my journey. It's helped me,
Yep.
kind of heal and overcome. And attending those conferences and hearing all the amazing speakers talk about their experiences and all this stuff. And meeting great people in the midst of it. It's just been part of my journey, and so joined the peer support team and just being involved in that. I took some time and joined our department had for a while. They had a clinician who was assigned with an officer.
Okay.
So you would respond to like any mental health type of call.
Yep.
So anybody going through a crisis or going through some sort of a episode, whatever, he would respond out. So you had an officer there for safety.
Okay.
Then you had a clinician. So I got to learn a lot from that.
That's awesome.
I soaked in as much information as possible. like, hey, these people are going through, whatever episode, whatever's going on in their life. So I got to experience that and realize, like, this is going on. A lot of times, you show up to a call, you deal with it, you handle it. Either they go in a hospital or they're going to jail.
Yep.
Like,
Right. That's right.
It's part of the job.
It is.
But then realizing, like, oh, I'm helping this person. Like, we're getting them resources. We're sending them in the right direction. And a lot of times these guys and girls would thank us.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh my God, like, thank you. You saved my life. You did this and that. I'm just doing my job.
That's awesome.
But also having the clinician there to kind of like get their experience and their point of view on certain things. Because they're not law enforcement. Right?
Sure.
But they want to help these people.
Yep.
The same way. So it's all that just helped me a lot, to understand myself, what I was going through, and understand people that may be in a similar situation. And so at the end of 2023, about November timeframe, I realized I was like, I need to reach out and I need to share my story. I need to share my experiences with other people. So one drunken night, I was sitting at home. I was like, well, what about making a men's group? So I made a men's group.
Get out.
All right. So now we need to know more.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Well, initial target group was military and first responders.
Okay.
But of course, I've got to deal with the stigma of being in, these kind of environments with therapy and all this stuff. So I haven't had a good success rate with reaching out to them, but I reached out to friends and some family members and people veterans that I know and kind of that group. And I think within the first 2 weeks of reaching out, I've got just a huge amount of support.
Awesome.
I think we started out with about 20 people interested, and our first shindig, we call it shindig. I don't like calling them meetings because
right.
Alcoholics go to meetings.
Right.
But yeah, so we started out with about 6 people, 7 people, and then 10 people, and then we started growing from there. So we called ourselves the Brews Brothers. That's what we call ourselves.
All right.
I came up with that name.
I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a group of guys, and we have it at my house because I don't have my kids that week. So it's an empty house. It's a safe place to be. It's neutral. It's not agency related or affiliated with anything. So we hang out. We have some drinks. We have some food. We fellowship for a little bit, and we talk about stuff. We talk about the few topics that we talked about was stress.
Yep.
We talked about trauma. We talked about grief. And then we've been going since the end of December. So
that's awesome.
It's been nothing but a success rate since then.
Man, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And y'all meet weekly?
We meet bi-weekly, so twice a month, yeah.
Okay.
And it's been, again, like I said, these guys have gotten, I think, more out of it than I have.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, I get enough out of it, but these guys have, the first day we started, it was, let's talk about stress, and what that means to you. And from the get-go, it was mouth diarrhea the entire time. Yeah. These guys were just unloading. And we went, we had planned on meet about 2-3 hours max.
Yep.
I think it was like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and we were still going.
Yeah.
And these guys were they're just talking. They're just talking. And it's like, well, I'm not going to stop them. They probably need this.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
You know what I'm hearing from all this? You got 9 years on the job.
Yeah.
Okay. You got a long way to go.
100%.
Yeah. You got a long way to go. And everything I'm hearing right now is so positive that you're going to be in a much better place at 20 years, 25 years than either of us were.
Absolutely.
If you keep on this path.
I'm seeing that you've laid the groundwork on how to get there. How to get there and maintain yourself.
It's the longevity for me. Yep. I'm looking at the long run because I just I know, hearing the story of these guys at 20, 25 years, and they're just like.
What you're talking about, and is along the lines of stuff I wish I had heard.
Yeah.
At your tenure, right? Yep. That 10-year-ish mark. And I'm just telling you, as somebody who did, over 25 years, you are going to be, if you stay on this path, you are going to be so much better served than either of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like you're going to create help pave that path for others too.
Yeah.
That's the plan. That's the idea.
So you're going to have an impact on others that would have struggled, might not struggle.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, these guys, I know these guys need help. And I know these guys, they want to talk to somebody, but it may not be a therapist at first.
That's right.
Or a doctor, or somebody with a degree. It may be a buddy.
Yeah.
A friend, a colleague, a coworker. And if I could be that person, then
huge believer in that. Huge believer in the impact, particularly in our field. Really. But man, that's awesome. Man.
Seriously, man, that's fantastic.
I am so glad you came tonight.
Thank you.
I'm so glad we got to link up because I mean I really didn't know a whole lot what you're going to talk about. I just knew you had some things,
winging it,
and some stuff had weighed on you, and we talked. But I figured if it was enough for us to talk there at the last day of the conference,
Mhm.
you'd like come on, then it's probably something that needs to be heard.
Yeah.
And then again, we really didn't, even over text message, I didn't really I was like, I'm just going to kind of let this roll. And I don't know, something told me that obviously if you felt like you needed to come on, had something to say, that you had something to say, and damn if you didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the bread and butter of really why we're here.
Oh yeah,
of why we even exist.
Yeah, I was getting ready to come over tonight, and my wife's like, "Well, who do you have on tonight?" I said, "Yeah, guy coming on, blah blah blah." What are you going to talk about? I said, "I'm not sure," because I kind of like to walk into these things sometimes, kind of not knowing so much.
I think it makes the discussion better.
Yeah. So, but everything I've heard has been really positive. And again, you at your tenure are going to be so much better off in another decade and a half from this. And I hope that you impart that to others. And it sounds like you are.
That's the goal. I want these new guys to come in and know that they're going to have support.
Yeah.
That they're not going to be, it's not going to be the same stigma that we've been dealing with, that I dealt with in the military even still.
Right.
About not talking about your problems and not dealing with it because, I don't want them to go 20 years and be miserable and, hate the world and hate themselves. I want them to be, it's longevity. It's the long haul. That's important.
Well, we talk about how we fix this whole, I think that's a big piece of it because I think it has to be fixed from the ground up. I don't think it be fixed from the top down. Mm-hmm. It's got to be from the ground up, and what you've got going on, what you're doing, is a ground up. I don't want to say solution, but it's a ground up piece to that puzzle. That's awesome.
I mean, we always talk about traumatic events. We always, the first forefront is always officer involved shootings.
Yep.
Or suicides and things like that. But it could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be losing a job. Like your house burning down. Someone passing away in your family. It could be something. It could be. And again, I always preach. You can't compare trauma.
No, you can't, and that's important. And I know they've talked about that at the conference that we went to, and I struggled with that early on because I would hear stories from people that have seen the most horrific events that have been on news. I mean, I've met people that were first on scene to Sandy Hook,
right?
The first on scene to the Pulse nightclub. I met him and spoke to him and hear his. And I'm like, I don't have anything. I mean, I have traumatic stuff and stuff that would, and your normal person would be completely shocked and be dumbfounded by hearing that. But I'm comparing it to those events, and I'm like, man, it's nothing.
Well, sometimes
like that.
It's
but you can't compare it.
It's not, it may be an event like that or something, but it could just be drip over time.
Yeah,
and
the
we've
drip over
talked
time.
about that.
Yep.
It's just a death by 1,000 cuts, and that gets you to that point.
Or it could be just how it relates to you individually.
Yeah.
Right.
The person involved, for some reason, reminds you of somebody, reminds you of something of your past. Or somehow it triggers it. It resonates with you for some other reason that it wouldn't resonate to 100 other people, but it resonates to you. So, but you're absolutely right. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's important. Is do not compare trauma. You just can't.
And, nothing I talked about was specific to the job. This is all stuff that's happened outside of my personal life. It's affected my job. Yeah.
Right.
But This isn't one sided. Anyone can relate to this.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Well, Will, thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
on.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
you bet.
Thanks for sharing everything that you have.
Yes.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share?
Yeah,
or anything else?
I wrote down some notes, but I don't think it's really important at this point.
Well, go for it.
So, today's message was essentially, a message of resilience.
Yes.
Overcoming all these obstacles. But I always say, it's not just about overcoming these situations in life. It's about healing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about healing and being able to just be in a better place. These things could happen at any point in time in your life.
That's right.
You can't plan for these things, right? And you can be as resilient as possible, but one day you could, absolutely crash.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest part of me, even to this day, I'm still healing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I'm doing my homework. I'm constantly proactive and making sure I deal with things that come up to me, come in my life. They could pop up, and I'm just like, I'm going to address this right then and there.
Yeah.
Instead of having a reaction,
right,
I'm going to have a response to it, and I'm going to address it the way I need to. And it's the only thing that's helped me throughout this process in healing. And it could take years from now for me to actually overcome and finally get over it. But it's important that we do our homework and that we heal.
Well, it's never done. It's always a work in progress.
Yeah, I think you're always going to be healing. I think it's one of those things that's not going to truly ever disappear.
Mm-hmm.
But I think having that awareness and knowing it's there and
Yeah.
knowing how to, as you said, deal with it at the time. You're not burying it away. You're not putting it away. I'll deal with it later, because later always shows up.
It does.
Always shows up.
You may not like what it's carrying when it shows up.
It always shows up. But yeah, man, Will, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure having you. Keep doing what you're doing, and y'all please stay safe out there.
I appreciate
And
it.
you are welcome back. You
Yeah,
are welcome
absolutely.
back anytime.
Yeah. Since you can come on location too. So
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
All right, brother. You be safe.
Thank you.
Damn.
Yeah,
That was good.
that was really good.
I mean, that is the core of what we do.
Absolutely. And he said something
He said a lot of things.
that really just stuck with me. It was towards the end, and it was, we want to have a response, not a reaction.
Man, yeah, that was good. That was good.
That one.
It's like we had a pro on.
Yeah. You never know. This was his first time doing anything like this.
I know, and he came on here.
Out into the shed bar.
I mean, that was really good. Like I said, I mean, I could just tell the little time we spoke, he had something to talk, something was weighing on to talk about. So I'm like, yep, come on.
Yeah.
And my gut said, it's going to be good.
Yeah. And again, if he is doing this now, where will he be at the 20-year mark?
Well,
much better.
Well,
Much better.
I have Will's number, so we're going to be staying in touch because we have a lot in common. And it was a great episode, man. And I really liked that, because I thought about trying to talk a little bit more over text, but I was like, I just want to kind of leave it blank because it go back to our barstool conversation.
Right. It's got to flow naturally.
Yeah, and it really did. It really did.
So maybe we'll bring him back for like one of those drum boob conversations. Or something like
yeah, one of we really we really dip into behind the bar. The all the different various bottles we open up and discuss whatever nonsense we come up with.
And it is nonsense.
Yeah,
but it was good.
That was real good. I think, man, there's so many takeaways from that one. The resiliency is huge. I think it's a great example of the things going through difficult things, having some negative impact on your personal life, on your career, and being at a very difficult low point. But finally, coming to the realization, okay, I got to do something. swallowing that pride and taking the steps to do it. Because that's probably one of the most difficult things is swallowing that pride and taking those hard steps. And he did that and is doing, not only is he doing great, but now he's doing things for those around him.
For others.
So that's huge. That's just very huge. And, you see that a lot in the conference with the speakers. That's the reason they speak. So I'm glad we got to hear Will's story. And for me, just because it resonated so much with me, which, I didn't know it would, but it really did. So,
and this is why we're here.
And
this is what we are about. So I'm just grateful that he came on.
Well, I know. Yeah, me too. And I know his story is going to resonate with a whole lot of other people. We don't know who it's going to resonate with, but it's going to resonate. It was just good stuff.
All right.
But Al, that wraps up another episode.
I believe that it does.
And where can they find us?
They can find us on badgetothebone.com. They can email us at wearebadgetothebone@gmail.com. They can also find us on Facebook at Badge to the Bone.
Outstanding. And make sure, please, to like and follow us. Make sure to share the podcast. But until then, be safe
and be well.